Yes,
Hi
we are live.
everyone, we are back. Our next show today, and welcome Jyoti and King Suk and Puja, and let's go. It's your voice now, King Suk.
Yeah. Welcome, guys, whoever has joined us on LinkedIn or YouTube. And today we are with the episode number 21 of Let's Golf with Andrea. And of the topic of today's show is the topic of today's show, can being self-aware be also damaging? So we'll learn more about it. And this show features the what's golf. Just to remind you guys, golf is all about get together of lovely folks. Who is Andrea? Andrea is the face of Let's Golf with Andrea, and Andrea Stadolter is an acclaimed life coach who with expertise on mind mastery, self-realization, and life transformation. And today's guest speaker is Pooja Kumari. Oh yes, she is by ethnicity she is an Indian, and is from Delhi in India. But for the last 20 years, she has been in Antwerp, Belgium, and she is familiar with Dutch, Flemish, Hindi, and English. And the other person next to me is Jyoti, a very natural presenter and speaker, and a aspiring coach. And this is me, Kingshuk or Abrati Basak, and together we are going to discuss about can being self-aware be damaging? Well, it's in Hindi. There goes a saying: "Tension lene ka nahi dene ka."
What
So
does it mean?
it means that you should not take tension. If possible, you could give tension, but don't take tension.
Ah,
So
okay.
sometimes when we start to think too much about ourselves and get increasingly aware about ourselves, we come across a lot of good points about us and a lot of bad points about us. Then the obvious instinctive reaction is to actually focus on the bad points
Mm.
and then start doubting yourself and then think that you're inferior to the others and then probably kill yourself with anxiety saying that I'm not that good, I'm not good enough. And this aspect of discovering yourself while doing an exercise of being self aware is often damaging because, as I said, tension lene ka nahi dene ka. So, what it basically means that when you are doing an exercise of being self aware, I would suggest that first of all, you identify your when you have points and, and only think about how it can be getting more better. You
Mm.
forget about negative points. You just think about completely focusing on your strong or good points.
Mm.
And then when you feel that you have certain good points and you start working towards making it even better, that aspect of self awareness is healthy. And when you know there are certain mechanisms or certain habits or certain behavior patterns or some thinking patterns that are not in the most in sync with your good points, let's put it that way, then one thing is that don't focus on it.
Mm.
Give it some sort of time to get minimized by whatever extent. Even 1% is good enough. You don't have to make a drastic switchover of 500%. No, even 1%, 0.5% is good enough. But don't focus on it. Work, keep on working on your good points, trying to slowly get rid of your some of your negative points, but at under no circumstances get overwhelmed by this. Either
Mm.
overwhelmed by your bad points or underwhelmed by your good points. So the idea is to balance it and see to it that while being self aware, you are looking at the positive side of it and actually keeping it healthy to move towards a more fulfilled life rather than a life of being in anxiety. So, with this thought of mine, my amateurish thought, because I'm not the coach, let's hear what Andrea has to say about is being self aware sometimes damaging? Before we move, and then we can move on to Pooja, Kumari, and Jyoti and know their points of view on the same topic. So, over to you, Andrea.
Yes, thank you, King Shuk. We have been discussing yesterday also that you cannot thrive above the opinion of yourself, isn't it? And how can it damage if you yourself? When how can you damage yourself if you are aware? Well, there is this saying that knowing and not doing is not knowing at all. So if you wonder why you belong to those people who read books on mindset mastery and on watching YouTube channels about it and having online programs and nothing happens because you feel stuck. That is what Jyoti was always saying, stuck. And I've been thinking about how can I rephrase this word, stuck? And I would say actually paralyzed because I've been there. I felt paralyzed. I didn't know what to do anymore. So it needs action from your side. That's the only way you can get there. And so if you are aware that you need a change and you don't do anything about it, then you will belong to those people who believe that if I work harder, I will get there. If I study harder, if I will get there. If I read books on personal growth, I will get there. And all those are lies. And I will explain why they are lies because we have been programmed from childhood, and the only way you can change your thoughts and thrive from the opinion of yourself is changing your programming. And when you start programming, it's like it's different because you start with being aware of who you truly are. And that means not only do you know yourself, but you allow yourself to have flaws. Because we are not bots, we are human beings, and we are allowed to have flaws. Yeah? You can't be perfect. And nobody is wanting that except for maybe yourself. But why would you be perfect? Why would you want to be perfect? Because you will never end working on something and then life will pass you by because you want it perfectly instead of being it a little bit imperfect. We are imperfect. Nobody is perfect. Not even our bodies are perfect. If we look around, we can see flaws on body shape and everything, but it's the same within in your character. There's something you develop, and it's okay that it's there. Just be kind to yourself, and when you start programming yourself, you will notice that when you program your what we call in inertial cells is that you can all of a sudden slowly and little by little accept as the things as they are. And we all need to remember that universe is not giving to what you want, it's giving to the person as they are. And when you have a thought of I am good enough instead I am not good enough and I can't do it, there's a difference in life. And this is what Pooja is going to tell you, how you can really damage yourself because you don't listen to what you don't listen to what your inner voice is telling you. Instead of that, you are using your ego mind telling yourself I'm not good enough and I can't do this and blah 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 blah. And this is what Pooja is going to explain, because the thoughts are creating feelings. And when we uh, do not accept that we should change, and that even though we are aware, you will never realize why you fail or what are your trigger points are. So with that said, Pooja, please, I give the word to you, because I'm really curious to hear your opinion about this.
Thank you so much, all three of you, for giving me this opportunity to really speak my mind over this topic, because I'm very, very passionate about working with our thoughts. I have lived just a little background about myself, if I may
Mm-hmm.
so. Uh, I have grown up in a very depressive environment in my
Mm-hmm.
home. My mom has been a chronic depression patient, and I have seen throughout my life how her thoughts have actually created the life she had. And since childhood, I was like, no, there has to be a better way of living than that. Just giving in to the medicine and to the doctors, and just, going what the doctors are telling you to, just take the medicine, not really working on yourself, but just working on the medicine. It doesn't help you. It
Mm-hmm.
makes your mind even more dormant, all those medications. But when you're working on yourself, when you're working on your thoughts, that is when the magic happens. That is when you can really, and I believe that 200%, you can really take over anxiety and depression. And I have seen that myself. I have experienced that myself.
Um,
And sorry, go ahead.
are you saying that you were in this depressive environment, and did you pick it up? Because
Yes.
I'm asking you because they well, specialists say that it's in your genes. This the depression, and
Yes.
I experienced it myself. And please go
Yes
ahead.
and no. Yes and no. They say yes, it is. When you have some family member that had, especially I would talk about parents because that's where you get it from,
Mm,
then you are very much prone to get depression if you are in that same environment as they are in.
mm,
Because, of course, as children, you absorb everything what
mm,
you see around, right? They are not feeding you depression, of course, definitely not, but that is what you are seeing. That is what you are absorbing from the environment. And that
mm,
is what you're seeing your parents, how they are dealing with it. And that is what you learn also, that
mm.
this is the only way to deal with it, and you don't know any other better way out
Yeah,
of it,
yeah.
right? So yes, you do get more prone to get depressed, you get more prone to anxiety when you are growing up in that environment. As you asked me, yes, I was also, I got into depression because
Mm,
of everything that went on.
yeah.
But I was also very adamant to come out of it. I wanted to have a better way out of it rather than getting into the medication,
Mm,
depending on the medication,
yeah.
right? Because I was into this personal development and, watching all those gurus talking about the power of mind and the power of unconscious and subconscious mind and all that thing. And I somehow believed it to be true. And because I believed it to be true, I made it happen to be true myself. That again comes back to your beliefs. What you believe in becomes true. What you believe in, that's what who you become actually,
Yeah.
right? And instead of growing up in that environment, instead of me getting into depression myself, I took control of getting out of it with the power of my own thoughts without getting any medication. And I'm not saying that you should not get medicines. Of course, you should, get some help, but you also need to work on yourself. You also need to get out of your comfort zone and do some heavy work, do some heavy lifting yourself, rather than just, being in the victim mode and blaming the situation, blaming
Yeah.
other people,
Yeah.
blaming everything else, but not doing anything yourself.
Um, psychologists believe and psychiatrists believe in the medication, and I had a situation that a friend of mine was depressed,
Mm-hmm,
and they put her on medication immediately. And
mm-hmm,
I asked the psychologist. I think it was a psychologist. Yeah, I asked the psychologist, "Why are you doing this?"
mm-hmm.
Because she only started. She's just starting the program with you, and the psychologist was our answer was, "Some people do not have the baggage to solve it themselves." How do you feel about that one?
No, before she says, before she answers this question, we would like to hear from Jyoti say what she feels about whatever the topic has panned out so
Yeah.
far. Yeah, Jyoti. Jyoti, over to you.
Okay. Hello,
Yeah.
everyone. Nice meeting you again on a Sunday evening. And this is one of the topics that is very close to our hearts because this topic is often celebrated but rarely scrutinized. That is self awareness. So, what I understand by self awareness is like our strength, weakness, emotions, motivations, everything. So, this is the foundation of our self development. But as we all are talking about, it's a foundation, but unlike any other powerful tool, it comes with its own complexities. So when we talk about this particular topic, I get reminded of a famous quote by Tony Robbins, since he is one of the top notch coaches in our industry. So what he says is, thinking too much leads to paralysis by analysis. So if you are over analyzing any particular event in your life, or even any particular action in your life, that self awareness can lead to overthinking and self doubt, and we become acutely aware of our flaws, and this awareness can paralyze us from taking action. So
Yeah.
sometimes the best part is, as what Pooja was saying, you can be a victim or you can be a victor. So that is a very important terminology. As we say, you can be you can be victimized by situation, or you can take over the situation and can be a victor. That is my understanding on this topic.
Yeah, I
Well,
agree.
now coming back to your question, Andrea, will you repeat your question once again so that Pooja
Yeah.
gets the link again?
There was this psychologist who gave my friend immediate medication instead of working on a program with her. And I asked the psychologist, "Why are you giving her medication?" And her answer was, "Some people do not have the baggage to s- to work on themselves." And I wonder, Pooja, how do you think about this?
Um, I see. I don't want to attack any psychologist, any doctors here,
No, no.
right? So they do have their profession and they are there to really save some lives,
Yeah.
right? And they have all the right to judge and create their own therapy or treatment um, procedure with their individual clients.
Mm,
But as I told you, I have seen my mother going through depression for all her life, and we have been to the doctors always with her.
mm,
And I have always wondered also that why doctors are not really empowering their clients rather than just pushing the medications on them.
Yeah.
That is my biggest question for them. But again, I'm not here to attack them. I would really like to work with them. In some cases, medicines are really necessary, of course, to really at least lift them up to do something, to do even some daily routines. Some
Yeah.
people are that depressed. But that's not the only way. We also need to empower, I say clients, so their patients in that sense, to help themselves to really start working on their thought process. Where are they going, where it is coming from, and how can they literally change that to really make them understand that they do have a choice, and that is always.
Yes,
They
it's true.
always have a choice to choose a thought
Yeah.
that will create the emotions and the behaviors and the change of perspective. It's a very, very vicious cycle that any person is going through.
Right.
So,
So,
my opinion,
yeah, yeah. Please carry on. Sorry, sorry.
no,
Yeah,
no, that's
please
okay.
carry
So,
on.
my
Yeah.
opinion in that way is very, very straightforward. I do believe
Mm.
in medicines, yes, but I also believe working with the medicine. That is not the only solution. That can never be the only solution. You
No.
can always take high dosage of medications and you can be on bed forever. That is what I have seen. Lying on bed for days in and days out, not doing anything else because you're
Oh,
so heavily medicated.
yeah. Wow. I was just gonna say they were heavy medications. Wow.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
King Shuk, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, see, while growing up, uh, my mom had a unique habit of not panicking whenever I was slightly under the weather. I mean, small illnesses
Yeah.
like cold, fever, or something that keeps on cropping up. And she insisted that instead of having those medicines, let me try some, what they call household tricks, home ground
Yeah.
tricks to get your illness sorted out. So she always used to make some special tea with some sort of
Hmm.
special masalas like basil leaves and this turmeric and this red pepper and other things like that. And she, when I used to drink the concoction, for some reason, and in 2 or 3 days, that ailments used to get eased out on its own.
Yeah.
So we can what our lives have become so busy, and we want so many instantaneous results. By
Hmm.
instinct, whenever we are in some sort of an ailment, we tend to rush to the closest medical shop and get some medicine and become our own doctors and start having them. Or immediately panicking and rushing to hospital. And then you go to the hospital, then you get into that vicious cycle of do your blood test, do this and do that. And from you have gone for stomach, but they will scan your brain. So that's how things are these days. So many times, if anybody has got an ailment, okay, if it's something serious and you're really feeling uncomfortable, it's better to not to do experience. It's better to rush to a doctor. But if you feel that it's a minor ailment, then you could think about getting healed on your own with some easy tricks. But having said this, when I'm talking about fever and when I'm talking about small cold, I also believe that depression is a disease.
Of course, it's a disease.
It's a disease. It's a disease that causes trauma, pain, agony to your mind, right?
Yeah.
Or your heart, or both, or your soul, as a person altogether. But it causes tremendous amount of discomfort.
Yeah.
And whenever such people who have some discomfort, 99% of the people are silent.
Mm.
90% of such people
Yeah.
are dead silent. they won't even let their partner know about it.
Mm.
They won't let their children, they will not let their parents know about it. And they will try to suffer it on their own, as if
Yeah.
it's not a disease. And then they will try to go to Google to ask them why I'm having this. And then they will switch on some videos on YouTube and try to find out what could be the cure for this.
Yeah.
And they could think about other techniques or rushing to a clinic. But first of all, it happens over a period of days. It doesn't come suddenly and hits you like a cold or a fever. It happens because of accumulations of several negative thoughts that keeps on accumulating in mind or heart or soul or whatever. And when such type of things happen, I would suggest, I would suggest you can always send a mail to Let's Golf with Andrea. If you're not able to do anything and you are not able to decide for yourself, I would suggest that you can always send a mail to Let's Golf with Andrea, because we are not going to push you towards medication. We are not going to push you towards getting coached or getting counseling. The only thing we can do is say everything is going to be all right. When you begin that everything is going to be all right, you get start healing on your own. And it's manifestation of whatever you think. Actually, that is what happens to you. So if you think that you're going to sink, then you will sink. And if you think that you won't sink, then nothing can sink you. That's what I plainly believe in. But once you have decided that you're not going to sink, you need professional help too. If you go to a clinic, 99% they will not talk about empowering you, changing your mindset, working on your thoughts. They will just give you benefits. For the people who don't know, Andrea's sister is a very famous medicine therapist, and she is the one who has always kept far away from medicines. And I mean, in the two people in the family, two completely 180-degree opposite. One is a medicine therapist, and one is a words therapist.
Yeah.
So that difference between words therapist and there is a difference between medicine therapist. Instinctively, you
Yeah,
may think that
it's funny that you mentioned it, because Chioni recently said to me like a week ago, Andrea, whatever you do, be aware that there are people who need medication. There are people you cannot help by coaching them. And I think, hello, I'm not stupid. I know exactly when a person doesn't have the baggage or the luggage or the baggage to come through something by going through introspection, going through awareness. When somebody is completely down, but really completely down, they need a little push. Yeah. And I will say that because I've been there. And short story, I was pregnant with my first, and that happened very soon after my both of my parents died, and they had died within 15 months of each other. And so there was this completely down, and then in the high, being pregnant. Yeah, meeting a man, marry, and being pregnant. It was all too fast, and I developed depression, and it was a depression of. It was a combination of what you call postnatal depression next
Mm.
to the that I was still grieving for my
Mm.
parents. Yeah.
Mm.
So I had, even though I had a baby, and honestly, my baby was, like every mom says, absolutely beautiful. But I had suicidal thoughts,
Oh.
and it was so bad that even with my child in the car, I wanted to hit something. It was I was drawn to drive the car into death. And Then they gave me medications, and I took it for I think 1 or 2 months. And I said, it's not going to help me. I mean, I don't have the thought of wanting to die, but I feel dead within.
Hmm.
I feel so dead. And I want out of this feeling dead. Yeah. So the only thing, they took me off the medication, and I had a meeting every week, and they were addressing stuff from my past, and aren't you angry about this or the other, and but they didn't fix it because they could not fix it. I had to fix it.
Yeah.
But they didn't tell me that it was me who had to fix it.
Hmm.
Yes. So it was a waste of, I don't know, a waste of time. And it was not just 1 year, it was more than that, because when you are when you in the Netherlands are classed of having such a combined depression, they don't allow you to go back to work. You stay
Yeah.
you
Hmm.
may find that in Belgium too. They make you stay in the how do you call it, well, stay at home being sick. And whenever I
Hmm.
said I want to do something, I want to get out, and I want to, they said, no, no, no. It's 5 years. We have recognized it takes 5 years for someone to come out of this sort of depression. So we will not allow you to work before that time. Can you imagine this? I
Oh
was
my
I was
goodness.
struggling. And at a point, I said, I don't care. I just do it. I'll just go and work. And that was the best thing. And the best thing what happened to me was that in the 5 years, I also got pregnant from the second child, and I got all the hormones were
Hmm.
in balance again. And in those days, they were talking about how the unbalanced hormone system can put a woman after giving birth to a child in a severe depression.
Depression.
And yeah, it was known in America and it was flooding towards us, but my doctor didn't give me the amount of hormones I needed. So he gave me like 2 packages of hormones, and he said, "Well, that should do it," but it didn't. But when I got pregnant, then it did it. All of a sudden, I got out of the whole depression thing. It was over.
May
Hmm.
I ask you, Pooja,
Mhm.
just ask you, like, what was the trigger point that once you decided that I should not be drawn into the same sort of depression zone that I've seen my mom being
Mhm.
always staying in? What was
Mhm.
the trigger point that you decided that you have to do something different? What was the trigger point?
Oh my gosh. That is so difficult to say because it is not one thing. It's a series of things. It's a
Mm,
series of situation that occurs that make you think like that.
mm,
It is not one thing that happened dramatically in my life. No, for me, everything was so dramatic. Everything was so intense that at one point I was like, okay, I have to come out of it, but in my own way that I want, the way I want it to be. I never went to any doctor, I never went to any therapist, no, but I knew I was depressed. I knew I was getting into depression very, very badly, severely, because I have seen my mom getting into that, and I was getting into that. So I didn't want my depression changing my perspective about the life, really giving into my thoughts, really giving into my emotions, that how my thoughts are controlling my life. I didn't want those
mm,
thoughts to shape my future at all because they were all negative. I didn't know anything better than that to think, right? I didn't know how to change my thoughts like that, how to really get them into the direction of the positive thoughts. I had no idea, but that's the time I was like Andrea said, that I was dead inside. I was still living, but I was dead.
mm,
I was like, there was no motivation. There was nothing to live. I had everything though, but still lots of things they were missing in my life, right? And that was me inside. There was nothing outside. And I knew it was something inside that I had to change, because outside, I have seen my mom going to the doctors for years and years, and nothing have changed. And when I started doing that work on myself, everything started shifting. And you know, guys, it's not a miracle. It doesn't happen overnight. It
No.
takes a lot of work on yourself, a lot of discipline to do that work, a lot of
How
dedication,
long,
and how
how long
desperate
would
you
you
are to
say,
change that. Sorry.
how long would you say that you took, for example, that, that phase, how long you took?
Uh, See, because I was doing it myself, I took a very long time. It took years for me to really reach where I am now, because I didn't know that time this thing coaching was existing, and all this counseling and getting some help, like, because I didn't want to go to the doctor. That was my mindset, my fixed mindset, because I had no trust in them,
Yeah.
because I grew up watching them literally destroying our family because of the medication that they gave. So
Mm.
I had like, no, they are bad. I had that impression from, they are not bad. I'm not saying they are bad at all. They are, again, they are lifesavers. But I didn't want to go to the doctor for, like you said, it's a disease, but I didn't want them to treat me, because I knew I could treat myself.
Mm.
Right.
It's me.
So
It's
you
the
want to add
power is in
something,
my hand.
Jyoti, we want to add some points on this point. Like, for example, if you've seen some people suffering in depression coming through this cycle, have you heard something of like that? Like what?
Uh, yes, hello everyone. So once again, I would like to quote the same thing. There are people, as Pooja said, Andrea said, there are people out there who will be the last person to talk to anyone on this topic, right? So I had, couple of friends, or you can say colleagues in my organization. They are already there from last 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. But the
Mm.
point is, they don't know that they are going through this. So if
Mm.
you, and this is such a big dilemma in India, and I can say that for India, because they think that they are not sick, so they will not seek for any therapy or a counselor or a
Mm.
coach. But the point is, the moment you start talking to them, you will get to know a lot of
Mm.
things from them, right? And that's the best part. Being as a friend or a coach can help them overcome this particular trauma. So once, I was talking to one of my friends, and he was in this particular organization for 9 years. He, healthy life, healthy family, he has bought a house also and everything, but the moment we started talking, and that was just for a small break, the moment we started talking, he was about to cry. And see, in
Mm.
India also, this is a big thing. If being a guy, you cannot cry in public. So that is also a big thing. So basically, the fact is, self-awareness has to be there for your growth, not your stagnation. So you're thinking that you are getting a handsome paycheck, handsome salary, and everything. But inside, you are not living, you are existing. And there is a lot of difference between existence and your living. So whatever day you are living, it has to be the best day of your life. Don't be in that trauma. That is my understanding.
Yeah.
Nice.
I
Well said.
agree.
I
Don't
agree.
be in that trauma.
I wrote a poetry around 8 months back, and and I wrote it with Dr. Suresh Sarvadekar,
Yeah.
and the title of that poetry was "The Wilted Flower."
Mm.
Now, like Murjhaya wa Phool, though people who are in India and who understand Hindi more, Murjhaya wa Phool in English is called the wilted flower. So it went like this, like when it's evening and you're going back home, so everybody seems to be in a rush. The birds in the sky, they are in a rush. They want to, I don't know where they're flying, but they are all seem to be in a rush. The traffic is in a rush. The people are in rush. Everybody wants to go where? I don't know. Everybody wants to go somewhere. But everybody is in a rush. At that time, the trees are in a rush to go to sleep. And somehow, at the same time, the flower wilts. फूल मुरझा जाता है, the flower melts. Now, what happens is, suppose if you're a person who is actually walking next to a park and you happen to see this wilted flower. So, what is the immediate instinctive reaction that you see after you see this drooping or this wilting flower? The instinctive reaction is, ये तो मेरे जैसा ही है. Many time you feel, oh, this wilted flower is similar to me. It's just like
Yeah.
me. It's existing and it's dying and it is helpless. So now this is how I began the poetry. And then I gave it a twist. And suddenly I upped the tempo and I said, okay, the night, there was a lot of neon lights. There was not sunlight. There was moonlight and there was windy. It was less hotter. But you went to a zone where you were in that same darkness, the night darkness that also coincided at the same time. And then again next morning you woke up. Now what? Next morning, how do you begin the day? Do you begin the day by again hurrying back to your work? No, I gave them a suggestion. Go to the garden and see what happened to that wilted flower. And
Nice.
when that person saw the wilted flower, he said it was not wilted anymore, it had cheered up. It was a temporary phenomenon, that was natural phenomenon, and it cheered up on its own just within 12 hours. So what about you? Did you also cheer up like this wilted flower cheered up, or you still remain the wilted flower? So that's how I wrote that poetry. And I said, please, if you think you are the wilted flower and you are much better than that, don't remember that wilted flower is a living example of it coming back to its normal best self, cheery self within 12 hours. If you can't do that, then you should seek help. If you can't seek help, you have to think. But if you got to keep quiet, you will remain the filter flower. So that's
So
what I
beautiful.
wrote. It's a poetry that I'm not able to put the right words. It was a very long poetry written by me and Dr. Suresh. And I always would like to tell the listeners to actually uh, feel the angst and pain that is coming from when Andrea describes her part of the depression recovery zone and how Pooja talks about how she came out from that zone. I'm lucky nothing hit me so hard ever that I felt that everything has been lost. Every time something hit me, I knew I can hit better. So I did not ever check things that something is gone wrong and I cannot resurrect. I have had bad days. I have worse days than many others have seen, but for not a single moment, I lost faith in myself. Not a single moment, not for a microsecond, I said it's all gone. Before you go to that stage, it's all gone. There will be several days of failures. And it's worth noting here we got two extraordinary women in Pooja Kumari who saw a chronic mother suffering through depression and she decided to kill it with a sword herself. And on the other hand side, we had Andrea who had a mixed sort of depression, this and that, trauma, pain, angst for as long as 58 years. 58 years in a life. And yet she said something has got to change. Something has got to change. And since she had this power within, that's why we've got to see this lady with this gorgeous smile, which can kindle several people's lives. I mean, the type of natural smile that she has on her face, I mean, it speaks volumes, like how people can come from that zone of helplessness to such a delightful zone. I mean, we have two prime examples in Pooja Kumari and Andrea. And absolutely, it was fabulous to hear from you, your part of the stories. Pooja, now you having gone through these extreme zones, and Andrea, I put it to you both as well as Jyoti, since you have gone through all these extreme zones, how would you tell a person who is suddenly panicking at understanding that something is wrong. I mean, he don't know, doesn't know it is called depression, it is called stress, doesn't know it's called brain trauma, but he feels something is wrong. How does this person go about it step by step? So I can hear, you can tell Pooja and you can tell Andrea, what are your suggestions?
Pooja first. Go
Yeah,
on.
okay, sure. See, we have these kind of people everywhere. I can count myself like that. I have been on this place when I begin to really understand that something is wrong, something is not right there, right? We really need to start with understanding, really understand yourself and accept what is happening. Acceptance is the first part. Accept that something is happening and then start getting aware of what is happening and why it is happening, right? And that is why I wrote about this. That's why self awareness can be damaging in a case if you're not taking any action about it, right? So when you are being self aware, so it's like where your focus goes, your energy goes also, and that thing grows, right? So if we are really being self aware of our negative thoughts, of our negative emotions, and if we are not doing anything to change them, those things will only grow more and more and more. Very simple. If we are always thinking about our negative thoughts, if we are always thinking about negative emotions, if we are always scared about, oh my God, what I'm thinking now, oh my God, why I'm feeling like this and that, and not taking any necessary steps to change them, you are only growing them. We need to understand that. We
Yeah.
cannot get stuck there, as you use that word. We have to move forward. So, first step, we need to accept something is wrong, and we need to also accept that it is in our hand to change it. We need to empower ourselves. This is very, 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 very important, that we need to take control back. We need to understand that there is something wrong and we can change it. We can come over it if we really want to change. If you really want to, and that is very, very important, that how badly you want to change it. You need to do the work about it, because staying there, it's comfortable. You don't have to do the hard work, because changing these things require discipline and it requires a lot of hard work to do. So when you are accepting, when you are aware, and then you take the action to change those thoughts, to change those emotions, to change your physiology.
Yes.
So it goes hand in hand. And that is why I said it can be self-damaging if you're only being aware and if you're only growing them more and more. We need to change the pattern of our thinking. We need to change, we need to see where the roots are. And from that part, from the energy of that part, we can change the negative thinking into the positive ones. When we really get to the root cause, when we understand where it is coming from, and when we really understand what this thought is doing to us. The thought is always related to emotions. The emotions are always related to our behaviors, to our physical symptoms, because one negative thought can create like 100 symptoms in our body.
I
Yeah.
And
agree.
then it is changing our perspective about the world, about ourselves, about everything. So when we realize what that single thought, one thought, what is doing to us, it is very, very powerful. When we understand from there, we start taking action step by step. I would always advise, don't go start big. Always start small. Always start with one step at a time. And then all of us, we have that innate power within us to change that. Once we start believing in ourselves, only then, as you said, Kingshuk, in the beginning, we are what we believe in. We can do and we cannot do also what we believe in. It's as simple as that. That's
That's
my.
what I call, but when we were making the logo of call, three words I was looking for, three powerful words that should go into the logo. And eventually we ended up selecting three words, which all of them begin with the letter E. So it says that enlighten yourself, empower yourself, and elevate your life, or elevate your
Mm.
think, elevate your
Yeah.
thinking. So while you are enlightening yourself, you are actually getting more self-aware about yourself. Once having done that, you are extending your compassion or empathy to people who have been supporting you, who are being supportive of you, or who are being shown some sort of camaraderie or some sort of association with you on a more higher level. So that then comes that portion of empathy and compassion together called, which you use to empower others, and
Mm.
then you start thinking of ways to elevate your life. You think of ways to elevate your life in such a way that you come out from that. And
Mm.
something that I keep on always telling, and Andrea will also agree, that the more we think from our heart and feel from our mind, we get in a stronger grip of our emotions. Because
Mm.
it is seldom that the heart will think wrong. The heart, by nature, by instinct, it may be fragile, it may be overwhelmed, but it cannot think wrong for either yourself or for others. So think from your heart. And when you have got to feel from your mind. If you do that, you slowly get much low. You get out from the rat race, you get out from the competitiveness, that never-ending race for pursuits, and then
Mm.
you start thinking about, okay, let me take a few steps back and look within, and that's when your elevation can happen. And that Andrea has done it, practiced it. She's not a coach by certification alone, nor is Pooja Kumari a coach by certification, because the sheer weightage of words that she is using and the expressions she is making, it proves that it's also life experience that makes the best coach. When you have
True.
actually lived it, lived that life, you've walked the talk, that's when you become that sort of a coach of authority who can help others. Otherwise, just a mere certification or watching and reading won't get you anywhere. And I always get, surprised at the spirit of Jyoti. I'll just tell you some good things about Jyoti. See, I give her certain tasks, you know, do this and do this, that, do this and do that. And I thought she's casual about it. Oh my goodness, what the hell casual? She's almost completed it. I mean, this is called the positive spirit. And that is called the, why can't I do it? And why can things not change? I mean, this lady is so positive. Andrea woke up whole afternoon to send a set of questions. Andrea, I really admire you for sitting across for 5 hours on the trot and trying to make questions of EQ tests that I will talk reveal about them later. Why you require that? But Andrea and Jyoti has been absolutely superb over the last 24 hours. In spite of whatever busy schedules, they have delivered so beautifully well. And that's being present, being aware of the tasks on your hand. And when it comes to working on your mind or working on yourself, then the spirit should be like Jyoti, Andrea, and Puja.
Jyoti
Because,
wants to say something.
yeah, Jyoti, you say something.
Yes, Avradeep, thanks a lot for acknowledging just 10% of what I can do and what I can deliver. And that is just 10% of what you expected. But the best part is, Avradeep, when you are being surrounded by positive and empowering people around you, so that's what we call mastermind. So if you are surrounded by five people whom you talk on a daily basis, and that is so empowering, that's when things happen. So it is said that you cannot change the people around you, but you can always change those people around you. So if they are not
Mm.
helping you in any way, as it happened in Pooja's case, because that's a family. She cannot change the family. So what she did is she changed the mindset, and the condition should not get her into that traumatized situation. So that is important. And I love being circled by amazing people around me, and that is my mastermind. So I don't miss any of these calls. Anyone who wants to talk positive, be my guest. I am the most I can say that. So self awareness, as people say, self awareness is a journey. Don't judge it. It's not a judgment. So if someone is seeking help, or that if someone needs help, be the catalyst for that change. If you can bring 1% change in someone's life, that is making your life better. That's what I follow. Thank you,
And
Abhijit.
and yeah, thank you. Andrea was standing on the streets of Mumbai, and and she was getting amused at the number of people looking back and turning their necks and looking back at her. And she said, "Is it because I'm blonde? Is it because is it because I'm too fair skinned, or is it that I'm looking like a clown?" But no, it was the aura she was carrying. You know, you
Hmm.
vibes, and she was carrying those extra mighty positive vibes that she was, was coming out of her like a hello. And people had no option but to turn their necks and look at her, staring at her. Many people were actually staring at you, Andrea, when
I
you
know,
were.
I know.
So, so you see, being with positive people, being with, they need not be part of your family. They did not be part of your neighborhood. They did not be part of society. But you, anybody who is watching and who is having slight tension of, am I actually sliding somewhere? And I would give you an advice: talk to that one person who brings a smile to your face.
Mm,
And that one person who can bring a smile to your face, even if that person is not a coach, or even if that person is not a doctor, it's
mm.
actually this person who is going to get you out from the zone.
Yeah, fully
And it
agree.
need not be a relationship, it need not be for a reason. There are some people who are blessed with a smile that Andrea has got, and with that spirit that Jyoti has got, and the power words that uh, puja has got, which can actually trigger a huge amount of change, actually. Because sometimes it's the vibes, sometimes it's words, sometimes it's being with the right people that can help you recover from sliding below. And it can happen with anybody. It has happened. I I tried. It did not happen to me. I said, no, 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 am I getting depressed? Am I getting depressed? Am I getting depressed? No, no, no. I said, come on, let me box. Let me box. Let me box. Let me get out. And I always found a dog or a human being to give me that power that I can make a comeback. It has happened with me several times that I got the positive vibes from even a dog.
Oh, yes.
From
Because
even a dog.
Abradeep, when you are in that particular mindset, you happen to be a magnet. And with that particular mindset, you will always attract, happiness, positivity, and everything. Even if you are in your, rarest situation wherein you are trying to give up. But what we say is, when we are trying to give up, you never know you are at the 99th step.
Hmm.
So don't give up. Talk to those people, or go with that open mind. Go with that open mind. If you go with the open mind, even trees can talk to you, as you said. Even trees, flowers, birds, everyone will talk to you. It's
Andrea
not the
hugs
people
trees.
you're looking for,
There
it's
is
your
a,
mindset.
there is a reason why Andrea hugs trees, because she gets a lot of pleasure for hugging trees.
Yeah, it's true. But there's also would like to give a message to everyone is when you have struggled once and you haven't given up, then remember that pleasant feeling you got by not giving up. That pleasant feeling and the love for yourself will give you the strength to approach the next lesson in life. And now that I opened up again, not writing it, but really talking about those days that I felt suicidal and I also risked the life of my child. Um, I want to say to everyone, there is always a light. The only thing you need to do is saying to yourself, okay, I am feeling so bad, so down, but maybe there's somebody out there who's going to help me, and start talking about it. I've lost someone this year again to suicide, and there are too many suicides in our world. It's
Yeah.
not needed. It's really not needed. Just talk.
Mm.
You will always find a person who wants to listen to you. Always.
Beautifully said. There's somebody out here who wishes to listen to even the crap that you might speak. Even if it
Yeah,
doesn't make sense to of you, even if it is not monetarily enriching enough for the other person, that but there is some reason why some person will actually agree to listen to you. Find out that person.
exactly.
And if you can't find out that person, at least talk about, remember about Let's Golf with Andrea. Because this is what actually can lead you out of that zone. And it's
Mm.
okay, it can happen with anybody, but you need to be out of that zone. Pooja, any lasting thoughts that you had that you would like to mention?
Yes, sure. I would like to say that we need to take responsibility of ourselves.
Mm,
We need to take responsibility of our thoughts and to change them. We need to take responsibility of our life because whatever is happening is the result of our past thoughts, of our past actions right now. This is what is bringing us from there to here. And when we take the responsibility of changing them, we are creating a better tomorrow for ourselves.
mm.
And it is only our responsibility, is no one else. It's not your partners, it's not your parents, it's not your children. It's your responsibility. And we need to understand that. That
Yes.
is what I wanted to say.
Very nice point. Very nice. It's your responsibility. Anything you want to add, Jyoti, before we
Yeah,
end
on
the
the
show?
similar lines, what Pooja said. Yeah, what Pooja said, being aware about our flaws is not an issue. It doesn't gonna diminish your worth. It simply highlight areas where we can evolve and grow. So let's grow together. Let's grow with golf. As Abradeep said, if you don't find someone, come to us. We are there to help you.
Yes.
Yes. And with these nice thoughts and with the hope that there will be not a single soul who feels he or she is lonely or doesn't have anybody to help, no, we can help. And money is not our driving factor. We are here to help. It's not money. It's just because we feel get pleasure when we see happier faces around us.
Beautiful. You
Very
guys are doing such an amazing work. I must tell that. It's a seriously, it's a very good cause, for very good cause that you are doing that. You will have
We,
so
we,
many
we, believe,
blessings.
we believe in the concept of benevolent commerce.
Hmm.
Let's call it not all about benevolence. It has got its commercial aspects too. But the benevolence is a million times ahead as compared to commercial expectations, if I may put it.
Absolutely. No doubt
The
about that.
weightage to benevolence is a million times more than the weightage given to commerce, right? So, with
nice.
this thought, I would give the final word to Andrea to actually say something powerful and end the show. And thanks, Pooja, for coming, and thanks for
It's
adding
my
so much value to
pleasure.
our show.
It's my
And it was
pleasure.
so nice, Jyoti, for your words. And it was, as usual, Andrea, who else can be more powerful than you? So, you ended.
Yeah, I want to start with acknowledging you, Kinchuk, because you always talk about how Jyoti does her work and how our guest does her work and how I explain this or the other. And you say you are not a coach, but I think You are a coach by nature. Your words are
Mm.
always on point, always. And I think we all love you for that. And thank you for being here. And with that said, I wish everybody to live their lives daily and every moment. Do not forget. Have a good coming week, and thank you all for this show. And we see you next weekend. And I will have Friday off.
So
Sorry,
next week is only Saturday and Sunday. And Divya Mehta, we may pull you on Sunday. I know you're watching this show. On Sunday, we may pull you on the show Sunday because it's time that you came back. So Divya, if you're watching, you're going to be with us
Okay.
again on Sunday. Okay? Take
Bye
care.
all.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
Bye
you.
bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks, Pooja,
Bye.
for
You're
yeah. Bye.
welcome.